Hi there, this is Abhilasha Sharma, and you're watching my channel Read with Me. So, yeah, we are going to cover all these books, but prior to that, we have to read this amazing book, The Courage to Be Disliked. We already did a lot of pages in my previous book, and as I promised that if you guys are going to give me 50 views, I actually said 50 likes, but you gave me 50 views, and I was not expecting that, and you gave me that. So, because of that particular reason, I'm gonna read ahead, and I'm going to make the second videos, and I'll try to look presentable. I'm still a little bit fat, but that's completely okay. I mean, it's okay to me. Okay, so guys, let's start. Let me keep these books aside. This is going to be our channel. I mean, just imagine. Can't Hurt Me is the best one. I think you're gonna love this. And yeah, there's a lot of book on psychology. Then there is Alibaba. I think if anybody of you in business, they are going to love that as well. So keep following the channel, keep subscribing me, and the more you're going to subscribe, the more I'm going to read to you. And let's start. So where were we? Okay, so we were talking about pretending. I am going to repeat that thing so you know where exactly we were. And let me talk something about this book. This book is actually great. If you are considering to read it, do read it. I'm reading it because I want to inspire you guys to read more books, and that's the reason I am here with my all my library. So these are the books that I have right now on me. I have a lot more books. Let me not say that I have just these books. I have a lot more books. And if you want to talk about which one is my favorite, I think The Taming of the Queen is one, which is my favorite. Let me show you that book as well. Or you just want me to start with reading? Let me show you. That's a gem. Ta-da! Taming Queen, and this is by Philippa Gregory. Yeah, Philippa Gregory, and she is just amazing. It is about Henry IV's sixth queen, and let me read what's written because it only takes a moment. I mean, whatever, when we are gonna read this book, we won't be reading complete book because that's the copyright issue. But to market these books and to make these books famous, I'm gonna read a lot of it. So yeah, that's this, and I have to say thank you guys to give me 50 views. I mean, 50 people watched my video. That's huge. That's literally huge. But because I was not expecting, I was expecting the video to die. But you guys are gems. So my intellectual buddies, let's start. Youth. Okay. So you are saying, I hope that was not sudden. I read. That's what I do on this channel. So if you are on this channel for the first time, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna read to you. And if you're eating, if you're doing anything, I'm just a friend you have, and that's what I'm gonna do. And this is my frame for some time. If this frame is not pretty, please do comment and tell me ki, you want some other frame. And if this frame is pretty to you, because books are always pretty and they are the prettiest thing on this earth for me. Yeah, so let's start. Oh, I'm gonna read. Beware. I'm a loud person, so I read aloud. Loudly. Okay, let's start. 1, 2, 3. Be prepared. Youth. Youth is one character, philosopher is another character. I have to give you a little bit of preview as well. I'm really sorry, I'm new to this, so I have to do a little bit of readings. So yeah, there are two characters in this book, and they are talking to each other, and they are talking to on each other regarding philosophy. They started talking to each other whether the life is simple, whether the world is simple or not, and they keep on exploring the topic, and they keep on moving from one topic to another, and they are keep on digging the topics, and with them, when you are reading the book, you will be digging. So it's a very intellectual The flavor is very intellectual and it's very amazing. I hope you will dig deeper in it. And I have a little bit of cold. Okay, let's start. Now I'm starting. I'm serious about it. And this video is going to be about 1 hour long, and we are already 5 minutes in. And you now know my name is Abhilasha Sharma, and this channel is Abhilasha Sharma Read With. Okay, let's start. If it's Abhilasha Brahmbhatt, then it is me. I have two surnames for some reason. That's another story. You can search a little bit out about Brahmbhatts and Sharmas, and then probably somebody must have wrote some sort of blog on it. It's another amazing story. Okay, youth. Okay, so you are saying that my friend has shut himself in his room because he actually chooses to live this way? This is serious. Believe me, it is not what he wants. If anything, it's something he was forced to choose because of circumstances. He had no choice other than to become he is what he is now. Philosopher. No. Even supposing that your friend actually thinks I can't fit into society because I was abused by my parents, it's still because it is his goal to think that way. I mean, just ponder for a little bit what actually philosopher is saying, that we can shed away our past. We can just stop thinking that that particular thing happened to me, because somewhere in this book, in my earlier video, you have to watch that video. That video is also good. You have to bear a little bit with me because I'm too much sometimes. But yeah, if you're gonna read that book, it's another amazing. I mean, read this book. It's another amazing thing. And the starting pages, they talk about effect and causes. And they say if there's a cause, there's going to be effect. But philosopher do not agree with that. He doesn't agree with that. And he says that, you know what, that's not how life happens. If you stop pretending, if you stop thinking that that's your past, it's not pretension, but somewhere we keep on thinking that because that particular thing happened in our past, this is how we are going to be. But that's not the truth. You don't have to be like that. You don't have to suffer. You don't have to keep on suffering. You just have to maintain a little bit of distance from your past. Just have some sort of distance. The more distance you will start making, the more you are going to heal. That is the process of healing, and these guys are talking about that. I mean, this is just a beautiful, beautiful book. Please do read. That's my review. That's my take. 5 star on 5 stars. Okay, youth. What sort of goal is that, philosopher? The immediate thing would probably be the goal of not going out. He's creating anxiety and fear as his reason to stay inside. Youth. But why doesn't he want to go out? That's where the problem resides, you know? Unphilosopher. Well, think of it from the parent's view. How would you feel if your child was shut up in a room? You want me to pick this a little bit closer so you can hear me a little bit better? Just a second. I have done some sort of jugaad. Is it better? I think the voice will be better. Or do you want me to shout a little bit? Because there's too much noise here. I'm very much closer to the main road. Because of that reason, a lot of voice must be coming. Okay. If you're eating, hi, how's your food? Have to ask. Okay. Philosopher. Now we are just going to read. We are going to be very, very serious. A little bit of me is going to come in between when I'm going to narrate my side, what exactly I am thinking. Otherwise, we are going to read this book very seriously. Youth. Again, I'm repeating what he actually said. Yeah. But why doesn't he want to go out? That's where the problem resides. Philosopher. Well, think of it from the parent's view. How would you feel if your child was shut up in a room? Youth. I'd be worried. Of course. I'd want to help him return to society. I'd want him to be well. And I had wonder if I had raised him improperly. I'm sure I would be seriously concerned and try in every way imaginable to help him back to a normal existence. Philosopher. That is where the problem resides. How? A parent wants to help, and that's the problem. How? Youth. Where? Where is the problem? I don't see any problem here. Philosopher. If I stay in a room all the time without ever going out, my parents will worry. I can get all of my parents' attention focused on me. They will be extremely careful around me and always handle me with kid gloves. On the other hand, if I take even one step out of the house, I will just become the part of faceless mass who no one pays attention to. And I will be surrounded by people I don't know, and I just end up average or less than average, and no one will take special care of me any longer. Such stories about reclusive people are not uncommon. Reclusive people, people who want attention. Somewhere I believe that we all do want attention, but somewhere we are not very forthcoming with that, and we want the attention backhandedly, but somewhere we want the attention immediately, especially if it is from our parents, our siblings, our friends, our loved ones. We want the immediate attention, and sometimes we do things which are out of character, don't we? We do that, right? So I think that's what is happening with the friend of the youth. He is doing something reclusive, and that's what philosopher is pointing out, that he wants attention, and that's okay. I don't think there's anything bad in wanting attention. I mean, we do want our worth, right? And sometimes the worth is social currency, and that it is something you are going to get out of people, and that's completely fine. That's completely fine. That's completely okay, according to me. Now the youth says, in that case, following your line of reasoning, my friend has accomplished his goal and is satisfied with his current situation. Is he satisfied with his situation? So, okay, what I think is that if you're doing it consciously, you are going to be satisfied with the condition. But if you're doing it very, 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 very subconsciously, you are not going to be very much aware why the hell you are doing something like that. Why the hell you are having so many cramps and so much anxiety, so much of headache. Why the hell all of this is happening? Why am I calling my parents all the time? Why am I so attached with the parents? I have no clue, and reclusive people a lot of time do not have any clue. So that's the situation. That's what is happening to the friend of youth and to a lot of people. And sometimes we are not aware about it. And sometimes it's okay, but if you're reading this book is going to make you aware about a lot of things you are subconscious of. And that's because of this reason you should read this book. I'm a good reviewer, no? 5 on 5, still 5 on 5 with this book. Yeah, philosopher. I doubt he's satisfied, and I'm sure he's not happy either. But there's no doubt that he is also taking action in line with his goal. This is not something that is unique to your friend. Every one of us living in line with some goal. Ta-ta-da! Every one of us in living in line with some goal. We do. We do, and we act accordingly. A lot of people who are very rigorous and who wants to achieve goal immediately, they are reading all the time, they are doing a lot of work. And those people who just want to lay down and who are, who just don't want to accomplish the goal immediately, they are a little bit lazy. But those people who wants to achieve the goal and they wants to, just do a little bit of lay down, they are lazy, but they are extremely smart, and they just get their work done like that. And that's another thing. How, whatever the goal we have, we work accordingly, and that's just amazing. I use the word amazing a lot. I don't know. I find the life amazing. I'm very optimistic person. Youth. No way. I reject that as completely unacceptable. Look, my friend is philosopher. Listen, listen, listen. This discussion won't go anywhere if we just keep talking about your friend. Okay? It will turn into a trial in absentia, and that would be hopeless. Let's use another example. Can we? Youth. Youth says, how about this one? It's my own story about something I experienced only yesterday. Philosopher. Oh, I'm all ears. Do tell. Youth. Yesterday afternoon, I was reading a book in a coffee shop when a waiter passed by and spilled coffee on my jacket. I had just bought it, and it's the nicest piece of clothing that I have. I couldn't help it. I just blew my top. I yelled at him at the top of my lungs. I'm not normally the type of a person who speaks loudly in a public places. But yesterday, the shop was ringing with the sound of my shouting because I flew into a rage and forgot what I was doing. So how about that? Is there a room for a goal to be involved here? Wow. Now the youth is thinking, you know what? What exactly I did? Let me just introspect a little bit, because if everything we are doing, it's because of our goal. What the fucking goal was I had when I shouted on the top of my lungs to somebody, and I actually made the whole restaurant ring from my sound, and it was pathetic. I feel pathetic because of that reason, but the jacket was very nice. What the fuck I would have done? Oh my god, that's just too much. No matter how you look at it, isn't that behavior that originate from a cause? Do we have a cause here, or do we not have a cause? Just ponder a little bit about this. I mean, you must be wondering, like, do we have a cause all the time? Because the philosophy says we do not have a cause, but then the philosopher says we do have a goal. Is there a difference between a cause and a goal? Yes, there is, but every cause give birth to a goal, right? That's what is happening, right? That's what is happening to all of us. Something happened to us, and then we have a goal, and then we keep on working at it. So these two thoughts are aligned with this. Somewhere they are aligning. Don't you think that way? I think that way. Philosopher. So you are philosopher. So you were stimulated by the emotion of anger and ended up shouting. Though you are normally mild mannered, you couldn't resist being angry. It was an unavoidable occurrence, and you couldn't do anything about it. Is that what you are saying? Let me repeat the line that I think he is emphasizing, that you couldn't do anything about it, that you just went into the flight and then you just kept on shouting. It was something very, very subconscious, involuntary. Youth. Yes, because it happened so suddenly. The words just came out of my mouth before I had the time to think. Philosopher. Then just suppose you happen to have had a knife on you yesterday, and when you blew up, you just got carried away and stabbed him. Would you still be able to justify that by saying it was an unavoidable occurrence and I couldn't do anything about it? I have a belief. Somewhere when you can get away with little bit of crimes, you do that. Whatever his action was, in a way it is a crime because you are defaming a person in his workplace, that you are not able to have your shit together, you don't know what you're doing, and you just cannot serve the customers well. And if the owner of that restaurant would have heard that his waiter is behaving something like that, he would have made him resign on the place. And that's a defamatory crime that our youth has committed. But and we all do such things. But if he would have committed a murder, that would have been a huge crime, and he would not have been able to get away with it. And even in his mind, he would not have been to get away without the guilt. He would have the guilt. Right now, he has a guilt, but the amount of the guilt is this, and he is able to neglect that guilt. But if he would have committed the murder, the amount of the neglect would have been a huge, and he would not have be able to get away without that guilt. He would have had that guilt for his whole life. That I have committed a heinous crime. I have committed the crime of murder. That was happen when you read law. You align everything with crime. Youth. That. Come on. That's an extreme argument. We are 22 minutes in. I hope you're liking it. And how's your food? You know what I've named you? I've named you Rama. So I don't know what exactly your name is. If you want me to say your name, please comment. Otherwise, you are Rama to me. And Rama means light. You are my light. You are the one who's enlightening me with all these books. You are giving me the chance to read. And because of that reason, I say please, please, please do subscribe me, because the more subscription I'm going to have, the more I'm going to inspire to read all these books to you, the more you're going to have somebody reading to you. And that's it. What more do we want in this life? It's just a subscription. Just do it. Come on. Be a little bit nice to me. Okay, that wasn't cute. I know. Okay. Philosopher. It's not an extreme argument. If we proceed with your reasoning, any offense committed in anger can be blamed on anger and will no longer be the responsibility of the person, because essentially you are saying that the people cannot control their emotion. Ta-da! What do you think about the people who beat their children? What do you think of them? They're beating their children. They're beating them blue and black. What do you think of that? Black and blue, blue and black, whatever. What do you think of that? It's bad. And they are not able to control their emotions. That's their excuse all the time, that I have anger issues. People just say it like that. I have anger issues. You know what? I have anger issues. I just cannot control my anger. I just don't know what to do with it. I just go ahead and I see my child and he's doing something mischievous and I just go blue and black on him. Oh my god, that's a lot of shit that you are saying. You can control your anger. Come on. We all can control our emotions. Just a little bit of conscious we have to be. I'm a little bit passionate about that topic. Okay. So now the youth is saying, well, how do you explain my anger then? Philosopher. That's easy. You did not fly into a rage and then start shouting. It is solely that you got angry so that you could shout. You did not just go into the flight mode. First you got angry. First you said, you know what, he's just a waiter, I can fucking get angry on him, his position is lower, I'm a customer, I can get angry, I have the position, let's just get angry on him. And that's what happened. So that's what you did. It is solely that you got angry so that you could shout. In other words, in order to fulfill the goal of shouting, you created the emotion of anger. So first you created your anger, you justified your anger that you know what, I can get angry on this particular person, let's just shout the hell out of him. And then you did your shouting. So first you excused your anger, you got angry, and that was your own doing. And the youth, what do you mean? Philosopher. The goal of shouting came before anything else. That is to say, by shouting, you wanted to make the waiter submit to you and listen to what you had to say. As a means to do that, you fabricated the emotion of anger. Now he is appeasing to an emotional side and he is saying something worth listening. That you know what you did, what you wanted attention. You wanted to summon the waiter and you wanted to say that you know what, you did not care for my jacket, but that jacket was pretty much, I really care about that jacket and you should care about something that I care about. And that's all is life about. You have to care what people care about. Right? That makes us human. That is humanity. Otherwise, what is the point of this life if we are just going to go about without caring what people care about? This is not how life has to happen. Youth, he is still in the denial and he is saying, I fabricated it, you have got to be joking. Philosopher, then why did you raise your voice? You wanted attention. You could have simply said, you know what, dude, that's just not good. You just spilled your whole coffee on me or whatever the shit you spilled. That's just not good. Do not do it. You're not a worthy customer. Sorry, worthy waiter. As I said before, I blew my top. I was deeply frustrated, youth said. Philosopher, no. You could have explained matters without raising your voice, and the waiter would have most likely have given you a sincere apology, wiped your jacket with a clean cloth, and taken the appropriate measures. He might have even arranged for it to be dry cleaned. And somewhere in your mind, you were anticipating that he might do these things, but even so, you shouted. The procedure of explaining things in normal words left felt too much trouble, and you tried to get out of that and make this unresisting person submit to you. The tool you used to do this was the emotion of anger. That what you did, you used it as a tool. Youth. You know what? No way. You can't fool me. I manufactured anger in order to make him submit to me. I swear to you, there wasn't even a second of think of such a thing. I didn't think it over and then get angry. Angry is more impulsive emotion. Is he in denial or is he telling the truth? Sometimes we do get angry. But I, for some reason, is with philosopher. Maybe I think in somewhere in my head that he is more intellectual person, so I have to go with somebody who's more intellectual, and I'm somewhere not getting aligned with the youth. But the youth is repeatedly saying something, and I have to actually hear him. I mean, this is something going in my head right now, and I have to hear him out. And if he is saying that, you know what, this is happening, I am getting emotional, and the emotion is very impulsive, it is very involuntary, and it is happening. I'm not giving it too many thoughts. It is just happening. It is not happening that I'm sitting, I'm looking at the waiter, he's spilling jacket on my coffee, and then I'm going like this. Now let's get angry. Now I will shout. I will make him submit. I want attention. I will teach the lesson. I'm not thinking that way. Nothing is happening at the see. He spilled the coffee. I immediately go and shout on him. That's it. That's how it's happening. And you are saying between these two instances, a lot of has happened. I do not agree with that. Philosopher. It's a very big paragraph he is saying, so beware with me. Bear with me, bear. That's right. Anger is an instantaneous emotion. Now listen, I have a story. Guys, come closer. We have a story. Okay, that's fine. The story goes like this. That's right. Anger is an instantaneous emotion. Now listen, I have a story. One day, a mother and a daughter were quarreling loudly. Then suddenly the telephone rang. Hello. The mother picked up the receiver hurriedly, her voice still thick with anger. The caller was her daughter's homeroom teacher. As soon as the mother realized who was phoning, the tone of her voice changed and she became very polite. Then, for the next 5 minutes or so, she carried on a conversation in her best telephonic voice. Once she hung up in a moment, her expression changed again and she went straight back to yelling at her daughter. What do you think? If when he was going shouting on that waiter, if if his boss had called, what would have happened? He would have gone to a normal voice. He would have stopped shouting and he would have been like, you know what, boss, what do you want? What do you want? I will do it immediately. That's most people's reaction. Or he would have done something, but his voice would have changed. He would have stopped shouting. That would have happened for definite. And if something like that would have happened for definite, that means something, right? Youth. But that's not a particularly unusual story. Now he's laughing. Philosopher. Don't you see? In a word, anger is a tool that can be taken out as needed. It can be put away the moment the phone rings and pulled out again after one hangs up. The mother isn't yelling in anger she cannot control. She is simply using the anger to overpower her daughter with a loud voice and thereby assert her opinions. So, what he is saying again and again that we are using anger as a tool. Are we or are we not? You know where's my standards. I am with the philosopher. I do think now that people do use their emotions as tool, and somewhere in all those reactions, if we have the capability to control your emotions, we can never say that we are doing anything impulsively or we are doing anything, something that we could have controlled. Youth. So, anger is a means to achieve goal. Philosopher. That is what theology says. Sorry, I'm loud, but philosopher, that is what a theology says. Youth. Ah, I see now. Under that gentle looking mask you wear, you're terribly nihilistic. Whether we are talking about anger or my reclusive friend, all your insights are stuffed with feelings of distrust for human beings. Nihilistic, huh? That's what you says about a philosopher. What do you guys think? Is he nihilistic? I do not think so. We are 35 minutes in the video. I haven't opened this video, that's the reason you're seeing plastic on it. I keep. This book is No Rules Rules, and this is by Reed Hastings and Erin Mayer. I've heard that this book is amazing. I do not know. It's about Netflix, and we will read. We will read a lot of business books because I have a lot of business books. This is A Beautiful Mind. That's another good book. And How to Stop Worrying and Start Living. That's another book that I have on the No Rules book. And this is Bhagavad Gita. Sorry, this is Bhagavad Gita. If you guys want, I will read Bhagavad Gita to you. I mean, you have to tell me. I have a lot of options here, and you have to tell me what do you want me to read, and I will read that book. So you will start reading on your own because I will leave in a little bit, and then you will start reading because that's my hope from this channel, that I should inspire at least 100 people to read books. That's my goal, that I will make a lot of book readers in this world. There are a lot of people, but they do not read and they go for summary and analysis. I would have made a summary or analysis video and it would have been easy. But I thought, you know what, I should sit for at least 1 hour and I should make people think that, you know what, you can actually sit for at least 1 hour in your day and you can read. That is something possible. And if you think that is something possible, then you should start reading with me. Okay, nihilistic. I really don't have much faith when people say that they are being nihilistic. There is very little light now. Why exactly? Who is blocking my light? I am blocking my light. Now I have light back on me. Yeah. Oh God, nihilistic. It's a very negative term. But he was an intellectual guy. Nietzsche was an intellectual guy. We should read Nietzsche sometimes. We should read a lot of philosopher. That's what we should do. I mean, I don't know. I'm coming up with a lot of ideas, and you should tell me what we should start reading. I mean, if it's religion that you want to start, we can start with Bhagavad Gita or we can start with Bible. Bible is another good book. We can start with Bible. I'm for all religion. I am made secular by my parents. So I have read Bible, I have read Bhagavad Gita, I have read Quran. So whatever you guys want me to read, I can read it and we can have a little bit of discussions. Quran is another beautiful book. It has been written very beautifully. Some of the verses which are for success or for your mental peace are very beautifully written. And we can read those. If you want me to read some religious books, or if you want me to go into psychology, or if you want me to go into business, I mean, we have a lot of or we can discuss policies. We can start reading policies and we can read a lot of policies if that's what you want. I mean, it is all about you guys. What do you want me to read? Any book that you want, I will buy it and we can start reading. On policies, even we can start reading budgets if that's what you want. I have budgets here. You can say this is Union Budget of 2021 to 22. We will read the recent budgets. We can read the budgets of all the states and we can understand the budgets. Anything that can help us grow intellectually and help us start reading a lot. We can read that. We can read a lot of essays as well. If you want me to read essays of people who are no more, I can read that they have to be copied. Something that whatever has come up in the newspaper, we can read that. And we can read PILs as well. If you want me to read PILs of those particular news pieces which Supreme Court took as a suo moto, we can read those. So it's on you. What do you want me to read? It's 40 minutes and we are in the video, 20 minutes are left. And 24 to next 20 minutes we are going to read a lot. How do I look? I try to look a little bit good. I'm, I'm trying, guys. I'm trying. I'm trying for you. The next time the frame will be better. I will try to do something with the frame and you can come up. But you have to support me. I did not ask for a lot, but I am going to ask for another time. Do support me and I will read. Okay? Think about, okay, philosopher. The chapter name is How to Live Without Being Controlled by the Past. I should actually cover this in the next video. What do you want me to do? Let's read a little bit. Because our goal is to read at least for 1 hour. So let's just read. Philosopher. How am I being nihilistic? Youth. Think about it. Simply, you deny human emotions. You say that emotions are nothing more than tools, that they are just the means of achieving goals. But listen, if you deny emotion, you are upholding a view that tries to deny our humanity too. Because it's our emotions and the fact that we are swayed by all sorts of feelings that makes us human. If emotions are denied, humans will be nothing more than the poor excuses for machines. If that isn't nihilism, then what is? What do you think? Oh, if somebody would have called me nihilistic because I am thinking emotions are a tool, what would have been my reaction? I would have taken aback. I would have been like, no, I am not nihilistic. I do not think that we are machines or robots or this whole world is some sort of. Oh God, I'm gonna say that word. Okay, I do not think that we are in a matrix. Oh God, I think we are. I don't know. I think we have a lot of freedom and free will. Yeah, that's my thought. I don't know. I don't know. I don't think that we are in Matrix. If you think that we are in a Matrix, drop a comment and tell me that we are in a Matrix and prove me wrong. Otherwise, till that time, if you don't prove me wrong, I'm gonna think that we are not in a Matrix. Okay, that's enough complex things for YouTube. Not complex things, what are you gonna call? I'm missing the word. Whatever. Philosopher. Philosopher says, I'm not denying that emotion exists. Everyone has emotions. That goes without saying. But if you are going to tell me that people are beings who can't resist emotion, I had argue against that. Alderian psychology is a form of thought, a philosophy that is diametrically opposite to nihilism. How? We are not controlled by emotion. In this sense, while it shows that people are not controlled by emotions, additionally, it shows that we are not controlled by the past. Okay, guys, I'm not nihilistic because I do not believe that we are controlled by our emotions. I think we can control our emotions. But then, if you go a step ahead and you think that we are using emotions as a tool, then you say that I am being mechanical and I am using it in a nihilistic purpose. But then I am going to say that we have a free will to use our emotions. So, again, ha ha ha, I'm laughing on you. Okay, that was too much drama. Yes, the word should be drama. Drama for YouTube. I think that the drama was good. So 1 hour just talking to you guys and reading. That's interesting. So because we are not controlled by our emotions, he is saying we are not controlled by our past. The moment you are going to shed away your past, the moment you are going to shed away your reasons, the moment you will be able to shed away your emotions, the moment you, if that person would not have thought, you know what, I do not want any kind of attention. If that particular person doesn't think कि my jacket is worthy of some sort of respectable behavior, that he should not even come closer to my jacket because he could spill coffee or whatever he had in his hand, then I mean that's the whole point of it. That's what I think. That's the whole point of it. Philosopher. The youth has a reaction on it. Youth says so vehicles. I do enjoy the sounds of vehicles. I like listening them, and I'm thinking how exactly somebody is driving. Somebody is driving fast, what exactly is going in their head? I have too much time on me. I really have too much time on me. What do we have here? What you guys are interesting? Are you guys interested in reading Hindi books? I have Namkeen of Gulzar Sahab. We can read that if you guys are into Hindi books. I don't know if anybody is going to watch 46 minutes long video and then come going to know that I was talking about Gulzar Sahab as well. But if you guys are interested in reading Gulzar Sahab, we can read Gulzar Sahab. Gulzar Sahab is another interesting guy, and the way he writes is so beautiful, and the emotions that he makes in you while you are reading, they are just so beautiful. I mean, they're just amazing. Okay, so youth says I have to read. So people are not controlled either by emotions or the past. Philosopher. Okay, for example, suppose there is someone whose parents had divorced in his past. Isn't this something objective? The same as the well water that is always 18 degrees. But then the divorce could feel cold, or does it feel warm? So this is a now thing, a subjective. Regardless of what may have happened in the past, it is the meaning that is attributed to the determinism to it. What exactly he is trying to say? He is saying that the way we read, okay, you guys, if you are new to this video, you don't know about it. That's the reason I'm thinking it's going to be confusing to you. Okay, so what he is saying that the well water is 18-degree temperature no matter what. So when it's summer, it is 18-degree, and when it is winter, it is 18-degree. But if somebody comes in summer and drinks that water, he thinks that the water is cold and it is good. And if somebody comes in the winter, he drinks the water and he is going to think that the water is warm because the water is 18 degree, but the water doesn't change the temperature. That's what the reason they gave me in the book earlier. And he is repeating the same reason. He is saying, sir, now let's replace the water from the divorce situation. If there's a person in whose past his parents has taken divorce, then this particular situation, this particular past is an objective. It's not subjective, it's objective. But that divorce did happen. But it's an objective thing because what you are going to make out of it, that is subjective. And that is going to be your reason whether I'm going to be controlled because my parents took divorce or not. Because sometimes people are like, yeah, they took divorce, you know what, they were not able to manage things together, and that's fine. And sometimes people are, they were not able to think of me, they did not keep my attentions or my needs prior to their own need, and because of that reason they took the divorce. And I hate my parents, I just do not want to be with my parents. And some people are like, you know what, I still love my parents and I still love their respective spouses they are married to after taking the divorce. I'm just okay with it. So we have both kind of people, and they have subjective reaction to something objective that actually did happen, you know. So yes, sorry, I'm just thinking what you must be thinking. So I'm not a psychic, but I'm just thinking that if you would have thought, what about the reaction that people give during their divorce? Sometimes that is something very important. If the parents would have been cool and they would have made the child sit and made them understand, that is something that is going to create a sort of reaction in the child, and it would have given them to a basis to think and build upon. कि okay, my parents are cool with it, it is just a divorce, this is nothing something to freak about, it's just a divorce, and they are going to love me no matter what. If that kind of particular reaction they would have given. So we are 51 minutes in, 9 minutes are left. Let me read you the paragraph. It will, now that I have explained it to you, I think it will be more clear to you. Philosopher is saying, okay, for example, there is someone whose parents had divorced in his past. Isn't this something objective? We are clear about that. The same as as the well water. That is always 18 degrees. But then, philosopher is saying, but then, does the divorce feel cold or does it feel warm? It is subjective, because whenever you are going to come, if you are going to come in the summer, the well water is going to feel cold. But if you are going to come in the winter, the well water, the same well water which is at 18-degree temperature, it is going to feel what? You know the answer. Warm. So this is now thing is a subjective thing. Now thing is a subjective thing. Regardless of what may have happened in the past, it is the meaning that is attributed to it that determines the way someone's present will be. Let me repeat it. Regardless of what may have happened in the past, it is the meaning that is attributed to it that determines the way someone's present will be. So what is happening in our life? We are attributing meanings to every instances that is happening to our life, and that particular whole bunch of things start reflecting in our present, and they make our present. So be very mindful of what and how you're attributing meanings, and what exactly is making you attribute your meaning. If your parents were really bad and they were all the time fighting and they made you think that what, you are not a worthy person, then you have to sit and you have to think, what, whatever my parents did, it was awful, but can I make distance from it? Can I get detached from it? And if you can get detached, because it's 100% possible, people have done it, it is possible. And if it is possible, it is possible for you as well. You can get detached from that particular emotion, that awful emotion that you are feeling because of your parents, whatever they did, you can get detached from it. And if that is possible, you can change your present, you can shed away your past, and your past will not control you. So you have to stop giving meaning to your past, you have to get detached from your past. That's what you have to do. Okay. And that's where healing comes in. Youth. The question isn't what happened, but how was it resolved? Nice question. Philosopher. Exactly. We can't go back to the past in a time machine, but we can't turn back the hands of time. If you end up staying in action etiology, you will be bound by the past and never be able to find happiness. Okay. Regarding happiness, we already talked about in my previous video. We did talk about what exactly happiness is, and some people are. If you are born with depressive mind, it is going to be very hard for you to find happiness. That is some sort of science and study we have done. I will come next time with the research paper, and I will quote you to that research paper about the happiness. Let me write it. Why happiness is subjective. Research paper. Okay, we are done with this. We are 56 minutes in. Only 4 minutes are left. Let's read what you says. You says, that's right. We can't change the past, and that's precisely why life is so hard. Philosopher, life isn't just hard. If the past determined everything and couldn't be changed, we who are living today would no longer be able to take effective steps forward in our lives. What would happen as a result? We would end up with kind of nihilism and pessimism that loses hope in this world and gives up on life. The Freudian etiology that is typified by the trauma argument is determinism in a different form and is the road to nihilism. Are you going to accept values like that? Youth. I do not want to accept them, but the past is so powerful. That's correct. I am sitting here and I am telling you that you know what you want is just to get detached. But the past is going to get reminded, and because you do not have other memories to fill your past, or you do not have other reasons to give it to yourself, that you know what, you just have your parents who treated you awfully, right? If you had somebody else who would have treated you nicely, or if you can remember people who have treated you nicely, or if you can remember, you know what, people do treat other people nicely, I just have to find those people, or I can treat myself nicely. I do not give a fuck about other people, what they have done. I am the one, I am the caretaker of myself, I am going to treat myself nicely, and that is enough. If that thought is going to come into your head, then it is going to be fine. Then you will be able to detach, because you, my friend Rama, you are damn beautiful. Nobody would have done that to you. And I am really sorry, and I will treat you the best, and I am working for you. I want you to read more books, and I am working for you. I'm sitting here every hour, and I am gonna make you read just to make you heal. That's I can do from my side. I'm doing something very small. I'm not saying I'm going to do something very huge, because that's just not possible. I do not know who you are and where you are sitting. All I can do is sit here and do something very little bit for you. If I could do something huge for you, I would have done it, because you are somebody who's very special. You are, and no reason has to be attached to it. There's no the line doesn't go like that, that I am special because. No, there's no because. I am special, that's it. Aham Brahmasmi. I am God. That's what my forefathers believed. That's it. That's all you want. There's no reason to it. Okay. Youth. I do not want to accept them, but the past is so powerful. And the philosopher says, this is the last line, and then I would have tell you bye. Okay, we are 12 minutes and I am going to read it very fast. Think of the possibilities. If one assumes that people are beings who can change, a set of values based on etiology becomes untenable, and one is compelled to take the position of teleology as a matter of course. We're going to discuss it in a little bit detail, because this needs discussion. Etiology and teleology are the two words that we need to discuss about. And people, I did my 1 hour reading. Please subscribe to my channel. Please stay connected with me and make me read, so that you will read. And we both have to create a lot of readers in this book, because we need intellectual people. We need critical thinkers, because we do need. Otherwise, this world is not at a loss. We will create critical thinkers together, and that's it. Thank you so much for your time. See ya, and love you guys a lot. Bye.